Welcome to Premier League Matchback, your weekly guide to all the stats that matter. It's been a busy 7 days with 2 sets of fixtures, meaning we've now seen 160 games this season. With those midweek matches, the goal tally now stands at 455, giving us an average of 2.8 per game. The number of players who've scored a hat-trick this season doubled in the last week, with Jamie Vardy and Salomon Rondon adding their names to the list. And with an extra 20 games taking place since our last show, it's no wonder the number of tackles has increased to 5,660.
Merseyside, home to 2 football clubs steeped in tradition. Separated by less than a mile, Everton and Liverpool share one of football's most intense rivalries. This match is sometimes referred to as the friendly derby, but for 90 minutes, a city will be divided.
It's probably more friendly in the crowd than it is on the field, to be honest. Obviously, I've played in a couple and seen fans sitting together, and families are literally divided blue or red. As I said, that's the nice side, and then you get onto the pitch, and luckily for me, I've played against some of the so-called local lads at great times in their career, Steven Gerrard, Jamie Carragher, so yeah, I've been on the receiving end of some interesting challenges.
Contests between these two are never short of passion, but down the years emotions have often boiled over. A record 11 players have been sent off in this fixture at Goodison Park, and every one of those dismissals was a straight red card. Keeping 11 players on the pitch will be crucial for both sides on what's sure to be a tense evening. It's the first time in 22 years that Everton will kick off at home to their neighbours under the floodlights on a Monday, and the atmosphere should be something to savour.
That will be electric, to be honest. Obviously, it's added bonus that it is on an evening kick-off, so that helps to the atmosphere. But expectations of the teams are going to be very similar in terms of wanting to win the game, so I expect it to be an exciting game.
Expectations among the Everton faithful will have risen after their team's dramatic turnaround against Arsenal in the week. Since the start of the campaign, Ronald Koeman's side have fought back to claim 11 points from losing positions. That's a league high and makes up some 48% of Everton's total points haul. But there's room for improvement at the back. They've often been close to recording a clean sheet, but have conceded a solitary goal in 10 of their 16 matches this term. Shoring up the defence will surely be a priority for Koeman as he looks to improve the team's fortunes.
The expectation of the club, obviously of previous years and progression and buying players of certain stature, he's going to add to the job in hand for Ronald Koeman, but he's a qualified man. He's done well at Southampton, and I expect him to do well at Everton, knowing some of the players there. I know how ambitious they are and how well they want to do.
Everton's Martin Stecklenburg will want to find some consistency in his performances. He's made 2 errors that have cost his side a goal, as many as any goalkeeper this term. Liverpool counterpart Loris Karius is one of those that shares Stecklenburg's unwanted record, and he was taken out of the firing line by Jurgen Klopp at Middlesbrough on Wednesday.
He's new to the Premier League. I know he was here at Man City before, but he didn't really feature, and as I said, it's going to take time for him as a young man, never mind as a new player in the Premier League, to really get to grips of what it takes to be a top-class goalie.
While Karius is still finding his way, Jordan Henderson provides experience. Liverpool's captain has really stepped up this season and is arguably having his most influential campaign for the Reds. He's dictated play from the centre of midfield with a huge increase in the number of times he's passed the ball, and he's also taking on more dead ball responsibilities. For the home side, the weight of providing goals will fall firmly on the shoulders of Romelu Lukaku. The Belgian has led the way in terms of scoring this season, but Everton's second highest contributor is right-back Seamus Coleman with just 3. No individual in Liverpool's fluid front line can match Lukaku, but while Philippe Coutinho may be out, they still have plenty of players that can cause damage. Keeping them quiet will be crucial if Everton are to improve their recent home record against their great rivals. The Blues have managed just 1 win in their last 9 against Liverpool at Goodison, although the last 4 have all been drawn. Whatever the outcome, it's sure to be an intense contest between 2 sets of players desperate to give everything for their supporters.
It's one of the most important things in any derby, but I think when you do play for the likes of Everton and Liverpool, it means a little bit more. Obviously, the rivalry is intense in any derby, but I think everyone, every neutral fan looks at this derby and keeps an eye on the result and the actual game itself.
Our matchback question this week is about that battle at Goodison Park, as we're asking which manager has the most Merseyside derby wins in the Premier League. Keep watching, as the answer's coming up later in the show.
Burnley failed to capitalise on their weekend win over Bournemouth as they lost at West Ham United on Wednesday, leaving them 5 points above the relegation zone. A different story for their next opponents, Tottenham Hotspur, as Christian Eriksen laid on an attacking masterclass by scoring twice and setting up another in their midweek victory over Hull City.
He offers something different. I think Dele Alli has got his merits, Harry Kane's got his merits, and both players are wonderful attacking players. But Eriksen, I think, is the conduit between the two. He can link it up. We've seen his set pieces, particularly his free kicks, an impressive attacking weapon for Tottenham.
One thing Burnley do have in their favour as they try to stop Eriksen and his teammates is their ability to cover more distance than their opponents. Of the 16 sides they've faced this season, only West Bromwich Albion have run further than Sean Dyche's men. It could be a busy afternoon for Eric Dyer and Jeff Hendrick. The Spurs midfielder admits he's had a difficult start to the season, but his defensive qualities are starting to bear fruit. He played in a back three on Wednesday. While Burnley's club record signing is impressing, having already scored 2 goals for the club. Burnley's sole win against Tottenham came at Turf Moor in the final game of the 2009-10 season. With the Clarets already down and Spurs finishing in the top 4, there was little to play for. The London side led 2-1 at the break, but 3 second-half goals saw Burnley turn it around as they bowed out of the Premier League in style.
Despite some comfort in a midweek win over Watford, Pep Guardiola is fast learning the unforgiving nature of the Premier League. That victory was City's first at home since September, and only their 4th in the last 10 games. Such inconsistency in results may stem from uncertainty in team selection. They've made far more changes to their starting lineup than any other team this season. As Guardiola attempts to put together another winning run, City's scintillating early season form seems a long time ago.
They started the season on fire, and we thought, that's it, season's over, but not to be. He's made loads of changes because he's got so much quality. He backs that quality, he believes in the quality and trusts it, but it just hasn't worked as yet. They'll get back to that form again that they hit during the start of the season.
Opponents Arsenal have a point to prove, having suffered defeat in midweek for the first time since their opening game. That loss at Everton also ended an unbeaten league run away from home stretching back to February, as the usually free-scoring Gunners were unable to breach the Toffees' defence more than once. Having already netted 3 or more goals in 9 league games this season, Arsene Wenger will be keen for his side to rediscover their scoring form as they look to get back to winning ways at the Etihad Stadium.
I think they'll go there, they'll go with a bit of confidence. They'll go with, hold it a minute, we are now pushing for this title, we are good enough, we've got good players, all our players are fit, or most of them are fit, ready to take on this City outfit.
With Arsenal so potent in front of goal, City will hope that their midweek clean sheet is a sign of growing strength at the back. That was just their second shutout in 8 home games under Guardiola, which will encourage the likes of Olivier Giroud if he plays a part. The Frenchman appears to relish facing this opponent, having scored in each of his last 3 league encounters with City. Despite spending much of this season on the bench, Giroud could still play a pivotal role as a substitute.
He doesn't fear missing, always puts himself in a position to score goals. If he's on the bench, very rare you hear him moaning as well. So he seems to be a very, very good team player, squad player.
In 2 of those 3 most recent meetings, City were behind going into half-time and ended up sliding to defeat. A familiar pattern for the men from Manchester. They've only won on 9 of the 185 occasions in which they've trailed at the break in the Premier League. That could spell trouble for Guardiola's men, with Arsenal boasting a strong first-half record this season. The Gunners have scored 11 more than they've conceded in the opening 45 minutes. Only Liverpool have a superior goal difference in that period.
They look like they've got a little bit of backbone this year. What I mean by that, they look a bit stronger, mentally stronger, physically stronger. The football side of things, I think they've always had it.
Based on recent history, this match presents an opportunity for Guardiola's men to state their title credentials. In the last 6 seasons, only in their 2 championship-winning campaigns have City won more than half of their encounters with fellow members of the current top 6. Whatever the result, this could well be a high-scoring affair. The last 3 meetings between Manchester City and Arsenal here have produced 15 goals. Overall, only Chelsea have won more away league games at the Etihad than Arsenal. But will the Gunners again be able to leave the blue half of Manchester with all 3 points?
Both teams, if they hit top form, this could be a 3-3 or a 2-2 or even a 4-3. I think there's going to be loads of goals in this game. Both teams need to get 3 points on the board so they can stay up and around the Chelseas.
Six places higher in the table than this time last season, West Bromwich Albion are making steady progress, especially with Salomon Rondon in the side. His hat-trick against Swansea City was his first ever in the Premier League. In doing so, he became only the second player to score 3 headers in the same game. His goals mean West Brom have scored 10 times in their last 3 home Premier League games, more than they managed in their previous 10 matches at the Hawthorns in the competition. Tony Pulis' side have now won 3 home Premier League games in a row for the first time since March 2015. But the visit of Manchester United could prove to be a tougher proposition, especially with Paul Pogba in the starting lineup. The Frenchman has received his fair share of criticism since his return to Old Trafford, but there's little to fault in his passing ability. He's played at least 151 more successful passes than any of his Manchester United teammates, and only 3 players rank better than him in the entire Premier League this season. Pogba's man-of-the-match display in their win over Crystal Palace on Wednesday means Jose Mourinho's side have won consecutive Premier League games for the first time since August. Despite 3 frustrating draws, they're now unbeaten in their last 7 league matches, keeping them in the hunt for a top 4 finish.
Bournemouth's win over Leicester City on Tuesday was their 6th of this campaign, winning as many games at the Vitality Stadium this season as they did in the whole of the last one. Southampton, meanwhile, had to settle for a goalless draw against Stoke City on Wednesday, meaning Claude Puel's side have only found the back of the net 4 times in their last 8 Premier League games. Despite just 5 teams registering more shots this term, they're still rock bottom of the conversion rate chart. They've only scored 14 in total this season, and with 6 of those coming from the now injured Charlie Austin, pressure is on their other attacking players.
From a creativity point of view, they tick a lot of boxes. But if you're heavily reliant on a good defence, I think they're looking to minimally concede rather than actually going out to score teams, which I think is probably what the kind of hands that they're playing into. They've got a lot of good players in the likes of James Ward-Prowse, wonderful set-piece delivery, and Stephen Davis. But having that player that can really change a game in the likes of Sadio Mane, who they let go, not quite there for Southampton at this moment in time, but you do feel that they're solid enough to be maybe not improving on last season's finish, but up in and around the same position.
A third of Bournemouth's goals have been scored by defenders, with Nathan Ake averaging one every 232 minutes. And despite having played at least 7 matches fewer than his teammates, only Steve Cook and Simon Francis have made more headed clearances than the on-loan Chelsea man. Last season saw these 2 meet for the first time in the Premier League, with the home side winning 2-0 on both occasions. At the Vitality Stadium, it was a double celebration as the Cherries picked up their first league win over the Saints in 58 years, while at the time they moved 8 points clear of the relegation zone.
Antonio Conte certainly seems to be hitting all the right notes at Chelsea, with his side winning their last 10 Premier League games. Those results have been enough to guarantee the Blues will be top at Christmas for the 5th time. They went on to win the league on each of the 4 previous occasions. Chelsea couldn't be much further away from their predicament this time a year ago. Defeat to eventual champions Leicester City saw Jose Mourinho's time in charge of the Blues come to an end, 16 games into the season. 12 months on and Conte's Chelsea have improved in every department, music to the ears of the Blues faithful.
What is good is to bring the joy back into the team, and when you look at Chelsea now, is almost the same team than last year, but it's completely different. The way they play, the way they enjoy their football, and the way how they try to communicate this joy with the public.
One man who's definitely thriving under the Conte regime is David Luiz. The Brazilian defender is on average helping his side concede fewer goals per game and keep clean sheets more regularly this season than in his previous spell at Chelsea. Playing in a back three seems to bring out his best qualities.
The fact that he's playing now with two central defenders alongside him give him the right sometimes to step back a little bit and ask Kyle probably to do the dirty job. And this is probably what is best, what fits him best as well. So I prefer when Kyle do the dirty job and then Luis try to cover him a little bit. And it's working perfectly, actually.
Chelsea will travel to an off-key Crystal Palace full of confidence. But despite just one win in his last 10 top-flight games, only Tony Pulis has a higher win percentage than Alan Pardew, amongst Eagles managers to have taken charge of at least 10 Premier League fixtures. Pardew could perhaps look to his side's upcoming matches to get some more points on the board. With the exception of Chelsea, Crystal Palace claimed at least a point against each of their next 6 opponents in the corresponding fixtures last season. Arguably then a chance for Pardew to turn things around.
Pardew still, for me, for the moment, he's still the right man for Crystal Palace, because he knew already this situation with Newcastle in the past, and I think a lot of players in this team with Crystal Palace as well has been in this kind of situation in the past as well. So we all knew the problems with Crystal Palace. I think it's defensively. So it's more easy for manager, to resolve problem when they know the problems.
Hoping to help Crystal Palace out of their slump will be Christian Benteke. The powerful Belgian has notched 8 league goals this season, which is already more than the Eagles' top scorers from any of the last 3 completed seasons. Though it's not just his attacking threat that Palace rely on him for.
If they want to survive in the Premier League, they need the goal from Benteke, but they need as well to defend well. And Benteke can help as well the defender, especially on set pieces on free kicks. So his mission is not only scoring goals, I think he can help as well in different compartments.
The Crystal Palace faithful will be hoping Benteke and co can help improve their record in London derbies. Of all the current sides from the capital, no team has a worse points per game return than the Eagles, whilst no side can better weekend opponents Chelsea when playing fellow Londoners. Crystal Palace will have their work cut out this weekend as they line up against Conte's men. The Eagles have only beaten Chelsea once on home soil in 7 Premier League attempts. That game also saw them keep their only clean sheet at Selhurst Park, something that may not be repeated this time around.
They are making too many defensive mistakes, individual and collectively. And this is why I think in a derby, on top of it, when you have to fight a little bit more and you have to give more commitment, then the mistake become a little bit bigger.
Stoke City slipped to 12th in the table after their stalemate against Southampton in Mark Hughes' 400th Premier League game as a manager. Claudio Ranieri was also celebrating a landmark, but his 200th Premier League game wasn't a happy one, as his Leicester City side lost their 8th match of the season, conceding their 27th goal in the process. The Foxes drew another blank in Tuesday's defeat at Bournemouth. They've scored just 6 away goals, a third of the tally they'd managed at this stage last season. Only 3 sides have a worse away scoring record, and 2 of those teams are in the relegation zone.
Perhaps expectation levels have been raised. Perhaps they can still play as that counter-attacking away team when they do leave the King Power, and at home they're expected to dominate possession more, which, as we well know, that is not what their success last season was built on.
Central to Leicester's counter-attacking style is left-back Christian Fuchs, who behind Riyad Mahrez has created the most chances for the Foxes. It'll be a battle between him and Eric Peters, who's won more tackles than any other Stoke player this term. The two clubs have met 4 times in the Premier League, but on only one of those occasions have both teams been on the score sheet. In September last season, the Potters took a 2-0 lead going into the break, but second-half goals from Mahrez and Jamie Vardy meant Leicester remained unbeaten at the start of the season.
With just 13 goals from 16 games since their return to the Premier League, Middlesbrough are certainly finding it tough going. More of a worry for Aitor Karanka is that his side have only managed to hit the target on 41 occasions. In fact, Borough haven't registered more than 4 accurate efforts in any of their 16 league games so far this season. That damning statistic is certainly having an effect on their results, with just 1 win in their last 6 Premier League games. One positive is that they've won 2 of their last 4 games at the Riverside. So a match against a side who've struggled on the road so far this season could be just what the North East team needs. Unlike Borough, their opponents Swansea City have recently enjoyed a flurry of goals. In their last 4 games, they found the back of the net 9 times, which saw them move out of the relegation zone. They'd scored 2 fewer in the 8 games prior to that combined. With 2 victories from those last 4 outings, Bob Bradley's side are certainly showing some improvement. But they need to turn that progress into consistency, especially on their travels. In the 5 Premier League away games under their American manager, they've conceded 15 goals, while you have to go back to the opening day of the new season to find their last victory away from the Liberty Stadium.
Earlier in the programme, we asked which manager has the most Merseyside derby wins in the Premier League era. The answer? It was the former Liverpool manager Rafael Benitez, who recorded 8 victories over Everton during his time at Anfield.
Picking up 3 points against informed leaders Chelsea was always going to be a tough task for Sunderland, who remain at the bottom of the table after a 1-goal loss. Watford failed to capitalise on their win over Everton last weekend with defeat at Manchester City, while the wait for Troy Deeney's 100th goal for the club goes on. Aside from an own goal, Watford have scored 20 times this season. European players account for 15 of those, with 3 South Americans and 2 Africans also finding the back of the net. Stefano Okaka's brace against the Toffees meant that 10 different nationalities have now featured on the Hornets' scoresheet this season. Sunderland were without Victor Anichebe for the visit of Chelsea, and it showed. The 28-year-old had played every minute of Sunderland's 5 games prior to the visit of the league leaders. His 3 goals scored in that time, contributing to 6 vital points.
I think he's done a lot of good work in the off-season to get himself in a position of peak fitness where he's able to affect a game, and that dovetailing of skill sets between himself and Jermaine Defoe. Jermaine's slightly more delicate, if you like, and nuanced in the way that he leads the line, and Anichebe is a bit more of that robust, blunt instrument that you need to be able to unsettle the defence.
There have been 12 goals in the 4 Premier League meetings between these two sides, 4 of them scored on the final weekend of last season. In Quique Sanchez-Flores' valedictory game in charge of the Hornets, he saw his side twice battle back from a goal down. He waved goodbye, having guided them to safety in their first season back in the top flight.
Dimitri Payet, one of the standout players from last term, continues to show why he's high on the wish list for many managers. Since joining West Ham United back at the start of the 2015-16 season, the Frenchman has scored 3 Premier League goals from direct free kicks. No player has scored more in that time. After his sublime strike in his side's draw with Liverpool last weekend, the Hammers picked up a much-needed win on Wednesday to relieve some of the pressure on manager Slaven Bilic. The victory was their first in 6 Premier League games. While at home, a pattern is starting to emerge, as all 3 of the wins at the London Stadium in the league have been by a 1-0 scoreline. This weekend, they take on a side who failed to score in 12 of their last 17 top-flight games away in London. However, Hull City will once again call on Robert Snodgrass to provide some spark, as he's been directly involved in 50% of his side's total goal tally so far this season. He wasn't able to provide any relief in the defeat to Tottenham Hotspur on Wednesday, which left them 3 points from safety. They've now lost 6 away games in succession, equalling their top-flight record. Most worrying for Mike Phelan is his side have failed to score in 4 of those defeats.
After a busy midweek, the action resumes on Saturday as Crystal Palace take on league leaders Chelsea, while West Bromwich Albion host Manchester United. On Sunday, Southampton make the short trip to Bournemouth, Arsenal head to Manchester City. And on Monday, the focus falls squarely on the city of Liverpool. These two ever-present sides have faced each other 48 times in the Premier League. But Jurgen Klopp is heading to Goodison Park for the first time as Liverpool manager, whilst Ronald Koeman is facing his inaugural Merseyside derby in charge of Everton. Expect it to be feisty. Until next time, from Dave Farrer, me, John Champion, and the rest of the Matchpack team, it's goodbye.